Something that blew my mind was when Amitabh Bachchan did Mohabbatein, he was actually the same age as Shah Rukh Khan in the movie Jawan. In Mohabbatein, Amitabh had already moved into the respected elder phase or era. Instead of settling into the older roles, SRK flipped the script and came back as a full-on action star in Pathaan and Jawan. In honor of King Khan turning 60 this year, I'm going to examine SRK's transformation from the chocolate boy into an action hero. The chocolate boy in Bollywood is the sweet, romantic hero. He's charming, soft-spoken, boyish, and lovable. He's not meant to be macho or an alpha male. The audience chooses to fall in love with him because he is emotional and vulnerable, rather than aggressive or intense. Think Ross Geller from Friends, or even Peter Kavinsky in To All the Boys I Love. Although these characters are problematic in their own way, I will save that for another video. In the 90s and early 2000s, SRK set the blueprint for the chocolate boy. Think films like DDLJ, Kal Ho Na Ho, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, and the list could go on and on and on. Ironically, SRK didn't actually start out as a chocolate boy at all. He debuted playing villains in movies like Dar and Bazaar. In fact, he actually wanted to transition into action and darker roles.
Called me to cast me in a film called Dar. I'm doing action and I'm running and I'm shooting guns and everything. And I always thought this is my path now, that I'm going to be an action hero. Shy, I'm not very good with romance, and I don't believe in that kind of romance also very often. I never thought I could sing a song, romantically.
However, Aditya Chopra advised him to lean into romance instead.
Do this, which I think is completely, fine. But I would just advise you that don't shut your doors on never doing a love story.
He said, no, trust me. And he used to always say this, your eyes have something that cannot be just wasted on action.
Despite SRK's hesitation and the 3 months of limbo, he finally listened to Aditya and signed on for DDLJ. That decision changed the whole trajectory of Bollywood. To this day, I wonder what SRK's career would look like if he hadn't listened to Aditya. For decades, SRK really leaned into this archetype. That doesn't mean he didn't experiment. Movies like My Name is Khan and Chak De India, which is a personal favorite of mine and I think a really underrated film. It showed that he could take that emotion and channel it differently. But by the mid to late 2010s, the trajectory shifted. You could start to see back-to-back films that just didn't connect. Jab Harry Met Sejal being a most prominent example. People said the audience was tired of the romance formula, others argued the execution was weak, and some felt like SRK simply aged out of this genre. Personally, I think it was a mix of all these things. From there, he took some time to reevaluate and take on newer roles. Some risks worked like Raiz, and some didn't like Zero. Despite the moderate success, critics said SRK was washed and past his prime. But that period wasn't failure. It was transition. It was the moment before reinvention. The best thing SRK ever did for his career was take that 5-year hiatus between Zero and Pathaan. That pause was powerful. It gave the audience something they truly hadn't felt in years, a chance to actually miss him. It also let people speculate, reminisce, and rebuild that aura around SRK. Before that, he was dropping 2, sometimes even 4 projects a year. That constant output made his presence almost routine. There wasn't enough space for any anticipation. When Beyonce took a 1.5 year hiatus, no one knew what she was planning. Then suddenly she drops her self-titled visual album, Beyonce, in 2013. With no promo, no build-up, just a surprise midnight release. That move changed everything. It redefined how artists control their narrative, and it elevated her from a global superstar into something almost mystic. an artist whose silence had as much power as her sound. SRK's 5-year break worked the same way. By the time he returned with Baton and Javan, it didn't feel like a comeback. It was a rebirth. Just like Beyonce's drop redefined how pop stars command attention, SRK's comeback redefined how Bollywood superstars sustain relevance. Both of them understood something crucial. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is disappear. It lets the world wonder and then come back bigger than ever. It's interesting because after 30-ish years in the industry, SRK finally gets to do what he originally intended, become a gritty action hero.
I came to the film industry 32 years ago to be an action hero, but I missed the boat because they made me a romantic hero instead. I've only wanted to be an action hero. I mean, I love DDLJ and I love Rahul and Raj and all these good, sweet boys, but I always thought I was an action hero. So for me, it's my dream come true.
So why didn't SRK transition into the respected elder position? If I'm being pragmatic, with the new advancements in beauty and health, and tech, CGI mainly, actors including SRK are aging differently. Just look at Brad Pitt, who's in his 60s and doing movies like Bullet Train. The line between a leading man and veteran actor has blurred. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for our female counterparts. Culturally, we're redefining what it means to age. Even in Javan, when SRK plays both the father and son, the father isn't just wise. He's powerful, sharp, and still a total badass. These two things aren't opposites anymore. SRK is the badass elder. I know in the past, SRK has dabbled in the action hero genre here and there with Raw 1 and Dawn 2, but this feels different. He isn't dipping his toes, but it feels like a 110% commitment, and he's doing what he wants, but with no shits given. SRK isn't the only Bollywood actor who's shed the chocolate boy image. Shahid Kapoor, Saif Ali Khan, and even Bobby Deol all went through the same shift. It makes you wonder, is this a formula every actor has to follow to stay relevant, or is it a deliberate reinvention of their choice? This will be really interesting to see how this plays out in SRK's upcoming film, King, and whether he continues blending wisdom with swagger. But what do you think? Where do you see SRK's career taking off from here? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching my first video, and if you've made it this far, I appreciate you and see you next time.